These relationships that are founded in the earliest years of our lives. People often ask why I care so passionately about the early years.
So here at Buckingham Palace, we're marking Her Majesty the Queen's Platinum Jubilee in this historic year in the Queen's reign.
Princess Alexandra hands Catherine Queen Mother's private jewels, bypassing Camilla entirely. This is the story of Princess Alexandra, one of the most discreet and private members of the royal family, who quietly handed over the Queen Mother's most treasured jewels to Catherine, Princess of Wales.
Kate Middleton has been married to Prince William since 2011, and it seems that she has inherited jewelry from Elizabeth's personal collection.
But here's the moment that stunned everyone. Queen Camilla was completely bypassed. No formal consultation, no ceremony, no explanation, just a deliberate choice that speaks far louder than any official statement ever could. How did this happen without anyone noticing? And why was Catherine chosen over the woman who actually wears the Queen's crown? This hidden story reveals a side of royal life that protocol books have never even hinted at. Let us take you behind the scenes of this sensational and unprecedented move, where every jewel, every decision, tells its own secret story. The secret meeting that changed everything. Royal life operates on two levels: the public performance everyone sees and the private reality that shapes everything behind the scenes. Most people only witness the balcony waves, the state dinners, the carefully choreographed appearances. But the real decisions, the ones that determine who truly belongs in the family's inner circle, happen in quiet rooms where no photographers are allowed. This particular story started bubbling up through palace staff in late 2023. Long-serving aides and private secretaries began noticing something unusual. Princess Alexandra, normally predictable in her routine, had made several unscheduled private visits to Clarence House. There were hushed phone calls, sealed envelopes passed between offices, and a noticeable absence of paperwork for activities that would typically generate official records. Something was happening, but nobody was talking about it openly. Then came the moment that confirmed everyone's suspicions. Catherine appeared at a community engagement in early 2024 wearing a brooch that royal watchers recognized instantly. It was an elegant cluster of pearls surrounded by diamonds. Distinctive, unmistakable, and profoundly significant. This wasn't just any piece of jewelry. It was one of the Queen Mother's personal favorites, worn frequently during her later years and unseen in public since her death in 2002. Social media exploded within minutes of the photographs appearing online. Royal historians and longtime followers of the monarchy recognized it immediately. "That's definitely the Queen Mum's brooch," one expert commented on Twitter. "She wore it constantly in the 1990s, but how did Catherine get it?" The palace, true to form when dealing with private family matters, said absolutely nothing. In royal communication, silence often carries more meaning than any official statement. To understand why this brooch matters so much, we need to journey back 22 years to the passing of Queen Elizabeth.
A few moments ago, Buckingham Palace announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
The Queen Mother. She died peacefully at Royal Lodge, Windsor, at the remarkable age of 101, having lived through 6 reigns and witnessed more history than most people could imagine. She'd been Duchess of York, then unexpectedly became Queen when her husband's brother abdicated, then served as Queen Mother for 50 years after King George VI's death. Throughout her extraordinarily long life, she accumulated jewelry in 2 distinct categories. Some pieces belong to the Crown, state property that passes automatically according to protocol, catalogued and protected as part of Britain's heritage. But other pieces were genuinely hers, purchased with private funds or given as personal gifts. These included presents from her father before her marriage, tokens from her beloved husband George, and mementos from close friends whose names appear in private letters but rarely in official histories. Unlike the crown jewels, which follow strict legal rules about inheritance, the Queen Mother could decide exactly where her personal pieces would go. And she made those decisions with characteristic thoughtfulness and intention. Princess Alexandra's sacred promise. Princess Alexandra of Kent rarely makes headlines, which is exactly how she prefers it. Now in her late 80s, she's spent 6 decades performing royal duties with quiet dedication, attending hundreds of engagements annually without seeking attention or praise. She and the Queen Mother shared more than family ties. They shared a philosophy about royal service that seems almost old-fashioned today. Both women believed that being royal meant putting service above self, that privilege came with genuine responsibility, and that dignity mattered more than popularity. They worked together at countless events over the years, developing a friendship built on mutual respect and shared values. When the Queen Mother knew her time was growing short, she turned to Alexandra with a request that went beyond ordinary family matters. The Queen Mother wanted certain jewelry pieces to go to someone specific, not based on rank or title, but based on character. She'd lived long enough to see the monarchy survive crises that threatened its very existence. She'd watched the 1936 abdication crisis that thrust her shy husband onto the throne. She'd seen marriages fail, reputations crumble, and public opinion shift dramatically. She understood that crowns and titles meant nothing without the personal qualities to back them up. So she gave Alexandra instructions, likely shared in private conversations rather than formal legal documents. Certain pieces should go to a woman who demonstrated service without self-promotion, grace under relentless pressure, warmth that didn't require performance, and an ability to connect with ordinary people genuinely. The Queen Mother couldn't have known in 2002 exactly who that person would be. Catherine hadn't even met Prince William yet. But she trusted that over time, the right person would reveal herself through actions rather than words. Alexandra accepted this responsibility with the seriousness it deserved. For over 2 decades, she safeguarded those pieces, watching the royal family evolve through difficult periods. She observed William mature into his role as future king. She witnessed his relationship with Catherine develop from university romance into a partnership that would define the monarchy's future. And she watched Catherine face challenges that would have broken many people. The media scrutiny Catherine endured, especially before her engagement, was brutal. Tabloids dubbed her Weighty Katie, suggesting she was desperately clinging to William, hoping for a proposal. Her family's business ventures were mocked. Her mother was criticized for being too ambitious. Every outfit, every expression, every appearance was analyzed endlessly. Yet Catherine never complained publicly, never sought sympathy, never tried to manipulate public opinion. She simply kept living her life with quiet dignity. After the wedding in 2011, the pressure only intensified. Catherine had to produce heirs while the world watched and speculated. She had to master royal protocols while maintaining her own personality. She had to support her husband while carving out her own meaningful role. And she had to do all of this knowing that every mistake would be magnified and every success would be attributed to good coaching rather than personal merit. Alexandra watched all of this unfold. She saw Catherine handle intrusive photographers, unfair criticism, and the impossible challenge of being both accessible and dignified. She noticed how Catherine approached royal engagements, listening more than talking, making people feel genuinely seen, focusing on issues that actually mattered to ordinary families. Catherine championed early childhood development, mental health awareness, and addiction recovery without turning these causes into personal brand-building exercises. Public opinion polls consistently showed Catherine as one of the most trusted and admired royals.
Getting tips from Her Majesty, keeping it real with her kids, and stepping into the spotlight. After years in the public eye, here's proof that Kate Middleton is ready to be queen.
But more importantly to Alexandra, she demonstrated the qualities the Queen Mother had valued: steadiness, authenticity, service without seeking credit. By 2023, Alexandra felt confident that the time had come to fulfill her promise. The Clarence House handover. The actual transfer happened at Clarence House, the Queen Mother's London residence during her final decades, and now King Charles's official residence. The location wasn't chosen randomly. It carried deep symbolic meaning. These rooms had witnessed the Queen Mother's life after King George VI's death in 1952. She'd hosted grandchildren here, entertained friends, maintained the traditions she cherished. The walls practically breathed her memory. Alexandra invited Catherine for what appeared to be an ordinary private meeting. No press were notified. No photographers waited outside. No official entry appeared in the court circular, the daily record of royal activities. In the world of royal protocol, this absence of documentation was itself significant. When something doesn't get recorded, it's usually because it's considered deeply personal family business, rather than official monarchy business. In a private sitting room filled with the Queen Mother's preferred style, chintz fabrics, family photographs, fresh flowers arranged just so, Alexandra presented several jewelry boxes. She opened them carefully, revealing pieces that hadn't been seen in over 20 years. There was the pearl and diamond brooch, of course, but also other treasures. Bracelets, earrings, perhaps a necklace or two. Each piece came with a story. Alexandra explained where each item had come from, who had given it to the Queen Mother, when she'd worn it, and why it had mattered to her. This wasn't just a property transfer. It was a passing of memory, of meaning, of legacy. The jewelry represented moments in the Queen Mother's life: her wedding, wartime visits to bomb-damaged neighborhoods, quiet family celebrations.
Later, they were greeted by the mayor of Salford and proceeded to another badly bombed area, meeting and talking with many of the workers.
Official duties performed with grace. Catherine reportedly listened with deep attention, understanding immediately the significance of the moment. These weren't just beautiful objects to wear at glamorous events. They represented trust, recognition, and a vote of confidence from beyond the grave. The Queen Mother, through Alexandra, was saying that Catherine embodied the values she'd held most dear. Sources close to the situation say Catherine was profoundly moved. She expressed gratitude not just for the jewelry itself, but for the trust it represented. She asked questions about each piece, wanting to understand its full history before accepting it. This response apparently confirmed for Alexandra that she'd made the right choice. Catherine understood that wearing these pieces came with responsibility, not just privilege. The meeting ended quietly. Catherine left Clarence House carrying history in carefully wrapped packages. No security logs recorded what she brought out. No insurance forms were filed that day. The transfer had happened in a space beyond official documentation, in that realm where family decisions transcend institutional protocol. Queen Camilla's unexpected exclusion. News of the jewelry transfer didn't reach Queen Camilla through official channels because there were no official channels involved. Instead, she learned about it the way most shocking personal news travels, through a worried aide who'd heard whispers and felt she should know. The aide apparently tried to soften the information, suggesting initially that perhaps there'd been some misunderstanding. But the reality settled in quickly. The Queen Mother's most personal jewelry, pieces connected to private family moments and emotional memories, had gone to Catherine without any consultation with Camilla whatsoever. No courtesy notification, no explanation, no acknowledgement of her position as Queen Consort. Camilla kept her composure publicly. She spent years developing an impressive ability to maintain dignity under difficult circumstances. But those close to her noticed the impact. Her usual quick humor disappeared for a while. Her posture seemed stiffer during public appearances. The hurt wasn't about the monetary value of jewelry. Camilla has access to extraordinary pieces as Queen Consort. It was about what the exclusion signified. To Camilla, this felt like a message from history itself. Despite her official title, despite years of working hard to gain public acceptance, despite her marriage to the king, she still hadn't earned the emotional acceptance that really matters in family dynamics. The Queen Mother, even from beyond the grave, had made a judgment about who truly belonged in the monarchy's inner emotional circle, and that judgment hadn't included her. The situation reveals something uncomfortable but important about royal life. There's formal acceptance, measured by titles and ceremonies and official positions. Queen Camilla has all of that. She was crowned alongside Charles. She performs royal duties constantly. She holds an official rank. But then there's emotional acceptance.
I know she will bring to the demands of her new role the steadfast devotion to duty on which I had come to rely so much.
The kind that comes from public affection and family approval. That can't be granted through ceremony. It has to be earned over time through authenticity and connection. And the Queen Mother's decision suggested that Catherine had earned it in a way Camilla hadn't. King Charles found himself in an extraordinarily awkward position. He loves his wife and has fought for years to secure her acceptance and recognition. He wanted her crowned as Queen Consort, not Princess Consort as some had suggested. He's worked to rehabilitate her reputation after the Diana years. He supports her charitable work and wants the public to appreciate her contributions. But he also couldn't challenge what had happened. The jewelry transfer was based on his grandmother's wishes she'd shared with Alexandra decades ago. To question or reverse the decision would essentially be rejecting the Queen Mother's judgment. It would also publicly highlight the very divisions that everyone was trying to downplay. Charles reportedly chose to say nothing, allowing the situation to stand as it was. Palace advisors understood the danger clearly. Any official comment would draw more attention to an already sensitive situation. Trying to reverse the transfer would suggest either that Catherine was unworthy or that Camilla was grasping for recognition she hadn't earned. Neither message would serve the monarchy well. The safest approach was dignified silence, letting the decision speak for itself. Prince William's position was unambiguous. He supported Catherine keeping the jewelry completely. He'd watched his wife handle incredible pressure for over a decade with grace and strength. He'd seen her build genuine connections with people across Britain. He understood why his great-grandmother would have wanted Catherine to receive these particular pieces. William's support removed any possibility of the situation being quietly reversed. Inside palace walls, the situation created new tensions. Staff members found themselves navigating careful conversations, aware that loyalties were being tested. Those close to Camilla felt wounded on her behalf, believing she'd been treated unfairly after working so hard for acceptance. Those aligned with William and Catherine felt vindicated, seeing this as confirmation that Catherine represented the monarchy's best future. Public-facing activities continued normally. Royal engagements happened on schedule. Official statements were issued appropriately. Family members appeared together when required. But the atmosphere had changed. Where coordination between households had once felt natural, there were now careful pauses, measured words, and a new awareness of underlying divisions. Catherine's public debut of the jewelry. Catherine waited several months before wearing any of the inherited pieces publicly. When she finally did, she chose the pearl and diamond brooch for a community engagement focused on early childhood development, one of her signature causes. The choice of event seemed deliberate, connecting the jewelry to meaningful work rather than pure glamour. She stepped out of her car that morning looking composed and professional in a tailored coat dress. Then people noticed the brooch pinned carefully to her shoulder. Photographers recognized it immediately and adjusted their focus, capturing it from multiple angles. Social media erupted within minutes as images spread online. "That's definitely the Queen Mum's brooch," royal watchers commented. "I remember her wearing it in the 1990s. Older viewers felt a wave of recognition and nostalgia. The Queen Mother had been beloved for her warmth during difficult times, particularly during World War II when she'd refused to leave London despite the bombing. Seeing her signature jewelry again felt like a gentle return of that reassuring presence. Television news replayed the footage repeatedly, discussing the brooch's history and significance. Newspapers ran articles about the Queen Mother's style and what Catherine's wearing of this particular piece might signify. The coverage was respectful and thoughtful rather than gossipy, Commentators recognized they were witnessing something meaningful about continuity and legacy. Catherine herself didn't draw attention to the brooch or explain its presence. She simply went about her scheduled activities, meeting with families, discussing early childhood development programs, listening to parents describe their challenges and hopes. The brooch was there, visible and significant, but she didn't make it the focus of the day. This restraint seemed entirely appropriate. The jewelry was meant to honor legacy, not create personal publicity. Public reaction was overwhelmingly positive. People commented that Catherine wearing the Queen Mother's jewelry felt right and natural. Many said it made them feel the monarchy was in good hands for the future. The connection between two women separated by generations, but united by similar qualities of warmth and dedication, resonated deeply with viewers. Inside the palace, Princess Alexandra saw the images and felt a quiet satisfaction. She'd carried the responsibility of honoring the Queen Mother's wishes for over 2 decades. Seeing Catherine wear the brooch with such understanding and grace confirmed that she'd fulfilled her promise correctly. The jewelry had found its rightful home. King Charles also noticed, though he made no public comment. He understood what the moment represented, a passing of legacy from one era to another, from his grandmother to his daughter-in-law. It connected past, present, and future in a way that formal ceremonies couldn't achieve. Charles recognized that sometimes legacy is passed through something as small and elegant as a brooch. Understanding the deeper meaning. This jewelry transfer reveals essential truths about how the monarchy actually functions. Britain's constitutional monarchy operates according to clear legal rules regarding succession, titles, and official roles. The line of succession is fixed. The crown jewels pass according to protocol. Official duties are assigned based on rank. But the emotional heart of the institution, the part that makes people care about the royal family, that creates genuine connection between monarchy and citizens, operates according to different, unwritten rules. This emotional dimension can't be commanded or manufactured. It has to be earned through authenticity, consistency, and genuine demonstration of the values people hope to see in their royal family. The Queen Mother understood this instinctively. She knew that public affection wasn't about glamour or spectacle. It came from showing up during difficult times, from sharing people's struggles, from demonstrating that privilege came with genuine responsibility. During the Blitz, she and King George VI repeatedly visited bombed neighborhoods,
And Queen in London continue the inspection of the areas which have suffered in the nightly bombing of...
offering comfort to families who'd lost everything. They could have stayed safely away from danger, but they chose to share their people's suffering. That decision created a bond that lasted her entire life. Catherine seems to understand the same principle. She doesn't chase attention or try to manufacture popularity. She focuses on work that genuinely matters, supporting early childhood development, raising awareness about mental health.
Kate's particular focus is on mental health in the young.
Since beginning my work in area,
Helping families affected by addiction. She engages with people directly, listening to their stories, learning from their experiences. She doesn't perform empathy. She demonstrates it through consistent action over years. This approach has built genuine public trust. Surveys consistently show Catherine among the most admired royals, but more importantly, people describe her in ways that suggest real respect rather than celebrity fascination. They say she seems genuine, down to earth, really interested in helping. These aren't qualities that can be faked indefinitely under the intense scrutiny royal life demands. The Queen Mother's decision to direct her personal jewelry towards someone with these qualities, rather than simply to whoever held the highest rank, reflects a profound understanding of what sustains monarchy long-term. Institutions survive not through wealth or tradition alone, but through emotional legitimacy, the sense that the people at the center deserve their position and use it responsibly. For Queen Camilla, this situation highlights an uncomfortable reality. She's worked tremendously hard to build her reputation and secure public acceptance. She performs hundreds of royal duties annually, often taking on unglamorous assignments without complaint. She's championed important causes like literacy and domestic violence prevention. She stood by Charles through difficult periods and supported him in his role as king. But she carries historical baggage that Catherine doesn't. Her relationship with Charles during his marriage to Diana created lasting controversy. Many people, particularly older generations who remember Diana's suffering,
the other woman, a homewrecker, someone who destroyed a modern fairy tale, someone who lived in Princess Diana's shadow,
have never fully forgiven that betrayal. Camilla has spent years trying to overcome this history, and she's made significant progress. But she's building acceptance gradually through consistent work, whereas Catherine entered the family with a clean slate and built trust organically. The jewelry transfer doesn't diminish Camilla's official position or her genuine contributions, but it does acknowledge that emotional legacy, the kind the Queen Mother valued most, follows a different path than official titles. It goes to those who embody certain timeless qualities regardless of their rank. The future of royal legacy. The appearance of the Queen Mother's brooch signals that more pieces will likely emerge over time. According to sources familiar with the transfer, Catherine received multiple items during that private meeting at Clarence House. She's chosen to introduce them gradually into her public wardrobe rather than wearing everything immediately. This measured approach shows respect for the jewelry's significance and allows each piece to be appreciated individually. Royal watchers are now paying closer attention to Catherine's jewelry choices, looking for other items that might have belonged to the Queen Mother. Each new appearance creates opportunities to remember and honor the woman who helped steady the monarchy through some of its most challenging decades. This gradual revelation of the Queen Mother's jewelry serves another purpose. It keeps her memory alive and relevant for younger generations who never knew her. When people see Catherine wearing these pieces, they become curious about their history. They learn about the Queen Mother's life, her values, her contributions. Legacy gets passed forward not just through objects, but through the stories those objects carry. For the monarchy as an institution, this jewelry transfer represents something hopeful. It shows that merit and character still matter, that the emotional connection between royals and public hasn't been completely replaced by celebrity culture and spectacle. It demonstrates that thoughtful people within the family are thinking carefully about what values should define the monarchy's future. Catherine receiving the Queen Mother's personal jewelry suggests confidence that she'll carry those values forward. Service over self-promotion, warmth without performance, dignity under pressure, genuine connection with ordinary people. These were the qualities that made the Queen Mother beloved. If Catherine can embody them for a new generation, the monarchy's emotional legitimacy will remain strong. The situation also highlights the importance of Princess Alexandra's role. She's not a senior working royal in the way William and Catherine are. She doesn't make headlines or attract crowds. But she performed a crucial service by safeguarding the Queen Mother's wishes for over 2 decades and executing them with wisdom and discretion. Sometimes the most important contributions happen quietly, away from cameras and public recognition. As for Queen Camilla, time will tell how she processes this exclusion and what it means for her long-term relationship with other family members. She's proven herself resilient and determined throughout her life. She'll likely continue performing her duties with professionalism, knowing that her legacy will be judged by her own actions rather than by jewelry she didn't receive. The British royal family continues navigating the complex balance between tradition and modernity, between formal protocol and genuine human connection. This jewelry transfer reveals that beneath all the ceremony and pageantry, the institution still operates on deeply personal principles. Character matters, values matter. The choices made in quiet rooms away from cameras matter just as much as the grand public moments that make headlines. Princess Alexandra's decision to give Catherine the Queen Mother's personal jewels, bypassing Queen Camilla entirely, wasn't about creating drama or making political statements. It was about honoring a promise made decades ago and ensuring that objects carrying profound emotional meaning went to someone who truly embodied the values they represented. In doing so, she's helped connect past, present, and future in a way that strengthens the monarchy's emotional foundation. The pearl and diamond brooch that sparked this entire discussion now sits in Catherine's jewelry collection, ready to be worn at meaningful moments for years to come. Each time it appears, it will carry forward the Queen Mother's memory and the values she held dear. And each time Catherine wears it, she'll be making a quiet statement about what kind of royal she intends to be: steady, authentic, focused on service rather than status. That's a legacy worth protecting, worth honoring, and worth passing forward to the next generation. The Queen Mother understood this when she made her wishes known. Princess Alexandra understood it when she carefully executed those wishes. And Catherine understands it now as she carries these treasures forward into the monarchy's future. Sometimes the smallest objects carry the greatest meaning, and sometimes the quietest decisions reveal the deepest truths about what truly matters. If this story moved you and gave you insight into the hidden workings of the royal family, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more fascinating stories from inside palace walls. Share your thought. Weight of betrayal. He had seen his mother cry in front of cameras, confessing that her life was never truly her own. Now, the only person who had ever truly protected him, the mother who held his hand through the storm, was gone. And while the world wept, William heard something more chilling: the quiet voices, the doubts, the suggestions that his mother's tragedy was not just an accident, that it was tied, somehow, to the same woman who had haunted Diana's happiness for years. Camilla. The public cried conspiracy, but behind closed doors, William carried those questions like scars. He didn't rage, he didn't accuse, he didn't have the power. Not then. But he remembered. Every whispered doubt, every strange detail, every uncomfortable silence in the palace halls stayed with him. He was too young to fight back, too young to demand answers, but he knew one day the truth would matter. And so William tucked those questions away, deep in his heart, where grief and determination lived side by side. To the world, he was just a grieving boy in a black suit walking behind his mother's coffin. But inside, something else was beginning. The quiet resolve of a son who would one day seek justice, not with anger, but with truth. Camilla's role in the broken fairy tale. Before the crash, before the tunnel, there was a marriage. To the outside world, it had looked like a dream: Prince Charles marrying the shy young Diana in a wedding watched by millions around the globe. The gown, the balcony kiss, the golden carriage, it was supposed to be the kind of story little girls grew up imagining. But behind the glittering doors of the palace, the reality was different. This was never the happily ever after people thought it was. Diana herself admitted it in the most haunting way. There were 3 of us in this marriage. The third, of course, was Camilla. She was not just a passing figure from Charles's past. She was the constant, the shadow that followed Diana from the very first days of her royal life. Charles's heart had never truly been free, and Diana knew it. The man the world thought belonged only to her was still bound to another woman. The betrayal was not quiet or hidden. It was played out in headlines, whispered in royal corridors, and even caught on recordings that shocked the world. While Diana poured her energy into being a devoted mother and a compassionate princess, Charles kept finding his way back to Camilla. And the palace, instead of protecting Diana, seemed to close its arms tighter around Charles and his longtime love. Diana was left out in the cold, exposed, fragile, and forced to carry her heartbreak in front of millions of strangers. The public adored her more for it. She smiled through her pain, she reached out to the sick and the lonely, and she became a beacon of hope. People saw her not as a perfect princess, but as a real woman who suffered like they did, and who still gave love in return. But even as her star rose higher, the cracks in her life were impossible to ignore. And at the center of every crack was the same name, Camilla. So when tragedy struck in Paris, people didn't forget. The grief was heavy, but the blame was quick. To many, Diana's death wasn't just about speeding cars and flashing cameras. It felt like the ending of a battle she never chose, but was forced to fight from the moment she said "I do." For some, Camilla represented everything that had broken Diana's spirit long before that tunnel in Paris ever claimed her life. For William, those memories became scars carved deep into his heart. Every photograph of his mother smiling bravely for the cameras, every recording of her shaky voice admitting her loneliness, every cruel headline that mocked her struggles, all of it traced back to one truth. His mother had suffered, not because of strangers, but because someone else was being protected. And that someone had always been Camilla. William's silent oath. As the years passed, William grew not just into a prince, but into a man whose very soul was shaped by loss. The image of that 15-year-old boy walking behind his mother's coffin never left the public's mind. Yet behind that solemn face was a storm, a mixture of grief, anger, and unanswered questions. But unlike many, William did not let that storm explode outward. He carried it within him. He didn't lash out. He didn't give interviews filled with rage. He didn't fuel the endless rumors that surrounded his mother's death. But he never forgot either. Insiders say William made a silent oath to himself, perhaps on that very day when the world said goodbye to Diana. His promise was simple, yet unshakable. His mother's memory would not be erased. No matter how much the palace tried to move on, no matter how carefully history was rewritten to soften uncomfortable truths, Diana's legacy would live on, and William would be the guardian of that legacy. This vow wasn't shouted from rooftops. It was lived quietly, day after day, choice after choice. Every public tribute he gave, every moment he spoke of his mother's compassion and strength, was part of that promise. When he stepped into hospitals to comfort patients and visited charities Diana once supported, he was not just being a dutiful prince, he was keeping her spirit alive. And perhaps most telling of all, the way he treated Catherine spoke volumes. William had seen what the institution had done to his mother, how it isolated her, ignored her pain, and left her vulnerable. He refused to let history repeat itself. With Catherine, he created a partnership built on protection and understanding. Unlike Charles, who left Diana alone to battle both the press and the palace, William shielded his wife. Every decision he made for their family carried the weight of that silent oath. Never again would the woman he loved suffer as Diana had. Then came the subtle moments, the ones most people would miss if they weren't looking closely. A look, a carefully chosen word, a pause at the right time. William never openly accused Camilla, never directly pointed a finger. But he didn't need to. His actions, his restraint, his quiet defiance spoke louder than any accusation could. When ceremonies placed Camilla in the spotlight, William's body language often told a different story. A tight jaw, a distant stare, or a simple refusal to offer the warmth the cameras expected, these were not accidents. They were messages. Not for Camilla directly, but for the world that remembered Diana. They told a story of justice not in revenge, but in remembrance. William's justice was not about tearing someone down. It was about lifting his mother, ensuring that her light never dimmed. Every time Catherine wore one of Diana's jewels, every time William spoke her name in front of his children, every time the people cheered louder for Diana's memory than for the new queen consort, it was William's silent oath breathing life into the present. For Camilla, every step forward into her role as queen consort came with shadows. She could wear the crown, sit in the gilded chair, smile for the cameras, but Diana was always there. Not physically, but in memory, in legacy, and in the son who refused to let her be forgotten. William made sure of that, and that is the weight of his oath. It is not one of bitterness, but of devotion, not a vow of vengeance, but of love. A son's love for his mother, carried in silence, lived through actions, and was written forever in history. The final justice revealed. So, what is William's final justice? It isn't a courtroom trial filled with witnesses, lawyers, and evidence laid bare for the world to see. It isn't angry words shouted across interviews or accusations launched at the woman many still link to his mother's pain. His justice is something far more powerful, something that no crown, no throne, and no carefully written royal statement can erase. It is the way he carries Diana's memory into every corner of his life. Not as a distant echo, not as a story the palace would prefer to forget, but as a living presence that guides him daily. In the charities he supports, in the way he interacts with people, in the way he keeps his mother's values alive, Diana breathes through William. Each time he bends down to speak to a child at eye level, each time he hugs someone in pain, the world is reminded of where he learned it. That warmth didn't come from palace tradition, it came from Diana. Catherine, too, has become a vital part of this silent justice. She doesn't just wear Diana's jewels because they are royal heirlooms. She wears them with pride, as a statement, as a bridge between past and present. Each time she steps out with Diana's sapphire ring or her pearl earrings, she is sending a quiet but powerful message. Diana's place in history is not gone. Her legacy shines on, turned into symbols of continuity rather than tragedy. Instead of being reminders of loss, they now speak of love, resilience, and legacy. Even more moving is the way William ensures his children know their grandmother not as a figure hidden in silence, but as a woman they can look up to. George, Charlotte, and Louis may never have met Diana, but through the stories William shares, they feel her presence. He tells them about her kindness, her laughter, her struggles, and her courage. In this way, Diana becomes more than a faded photograph in an album. She becomes a living part of their identity, shaping the way they see compassion, duty, and love. But perhaps the most powerful justice of all comes not from William alone, but from the people. The world still adores Diana. Even decades after her passing, millions gather to honor her anniversaries. Documentaries continue to be made about her, and her face still appears on magazines and screens across the globe. She is remembered not as a victim, but as a symbol of hope. People see her reflection in William's calm strength, in Harry's raw honesty, and in the innocence of her grandchildren. They see her spirit living on, long after the palace tried to move on. Camilla may wear the crown, but she will never wear the love of the people. Diana remains the true queen of hearts, cherished in ways that power and titles can never command. That is William's final justice, the justice of memory outliving betrayal. He doesn't need to tear anyone down. He doesn't need to seek revenge. Simply by keeping his mother's story alive, by making sure her truth is never silenced, he achieves what no trial ever could. In the end, Diana's legacy has triumphed. She won in the only way that truly matters. She lives forever in the hearts of millions, while those who once stood against her remain in her shadow. A legacy that cannot be erased. In the end, Camilla's story will always remain tangled with Diana's. No matter how many crowns she wears, no matter how many royal duties she performs, she cannot escape the shadow of the woman who changed the monarchy forever. Diana wasn't just a princess. She was a global icon, a woman who touched hearts in a way few ever could. And that kind of legacy doesn't fade, it only grows stronger with time. William understood this better than anyone. For him, his mother wasn't just a figure from history books or old photographs. She was his guiding light, the woman who shaped his values, his sense of duty, and his vision for the monarchy's future. That is why his form of justice was never about striking back at Camilla or creating public scandals. His justice was quieter, deeper, and far more lasting. It was about making sure Diana's place in history could never, ever be erased. Every decision William has made reflects this vow. When Catherine steps out in Diana's sapphire ring or her glittering tiaras, it isn't simply about style, it's a statement. It tells the world that Diana's story is alive, carried into the present and woven into the future. It transforms grief into legacy, pain into pride. And by doing so, William makes sure his children grow up knowing their grandmother not through silence and mystery, but through stories of love, kindness, and courage. That is his greatest victory. Because while crowns can be passed, titles can be changed, and public opinion can shift, the truth of Diana endures. People still line up to visit her memorials, speak of her with warmth, and see her reflection in William, Harry, and her grandchildren. She is remembered not for the scandals the palace tried to bury, but for the compassion she gave freely to the world. Camilla may sit beside the king as queen consort, but even she knows there is a shadow she can never escape. No matter how many years pass, Diana's name is the one people chant, her image the one that headlines recall, her legacy the one that defines the modern monarchy. For Camilla, this is the inescapable truth history has already chosen its Queen of Hearts. And so, William's justice doesn't wear the face of revenge, it wears the face of remembrance. It is in the way he shields his wife from the same traps that destroyed his mother. It is in the way he raises his children to honor the woman they never met, but will always know. It is in the way Diana's story continues to echo louder than any crown ever could, because the truth has a way of surviving, no matter how powerful the forces trying to silence it. And Diana's truth, her kindness, her strength, her fight for love and humanity, has become William's most powerful weapon, a legacy that cannot be erased. So when we hear the words, Camilla exposed in Diana's death, William's final justice just revealed, we're not just talking about rumors or hidden files. We're talking about the power of memory, the way a son can turn grief into strength, and the way truth refuses to stay silent. And now, I want to hear from you. Do you believe Diana's death was just an accident? Or do you think the shadows around Camilla tell a deeper story? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading them closely. If you found this story as powerful as I did, don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell so you never miss an update on the hidden truths of the royal family. Because Diana's story isn't just history, it's a living reminder of love, betrayal, and justice. And trust me, what comes next will leave you speechless.